And when it is scheduled, I do have a say what's on the test. We're going to cover whatever we cover in class will be on the final exam. It is not a cumulative final. Guys, please, if you're out there, please have your cameras on. Guys, it is going to be a non-cumulative final. I will review. I will send you a study guide. The way I'm planning on doing this, guys, is to be here in person myself. If you have reasons why you cannot be here in person, let me know what they are so I can approve you to take the final remotely. If you choose to take the final remotely, if you have reasons why you're taking the final remotely, I am going to request that you are logged in on Zoom while you're taking the final. We'll work those details out in the next week or so. This is a new scenario, something we've never dealt with before. So again, just to recap, guys, a couple of things. Number one, your stock portfolios are due on the 9th. So even if you're working with colleagues who may be off campus for other reasons, you should be coordinating with them. You have Friday morning, no class, to work on that portfolio. In fact, let's talk about the portfolio for a minute, guys. Do you remember earlier on in the semester I told you how people screw up on the portfolios? What are the big ways that people screw up? What do people do wrong? I'm thinking one with a P word. If you copy something and pass it off as your own, what do we call that? We call it plagiarism. So please do not plagiarize, guys. I spot that stuff pretty quickly. I think the easiest plagiarism I've ever spotted goes like this. Somebody who wrote very basically all of a sudden sounded like Shakespeare. The best was that the font changed to an italic font and the color even changed. The folks who copied and pasted stuff in there didn't even change the font. Cite your work in text. Check your math. Make sure you look at what that A-grade paper entails. Imitate the A-grade paper. You too can have an A-grade paper. Last question, guys. Do you have to make money on your portfolio to get an A on the paper? You do not. Okay. Guys, just a reminder to your discussion on franchises are due tonight. And I'm also asking you, if you have not already, most of you got a 10 out of 10 on your handshake. If you see a 0 sitting in your handshake profile, you need to contact me and let me know you've completed it. So check your grade. If you got a 0 on handshake, if you are willing to just contact me and tell me that you finished it, I'll give you the full credit for it. I trust you on this. But we got to talk, guys, because after our chapter 6, we're going to be doing our first exam in this class. And I like giving you guys a voice in what we talk about. I anticipate we're going to be finishing this chapter on Wednesday. I'm giving you 2 options for our test on this one. And it will be an online test during our scheduled class time, meaning I will be attending via Zoom and you'll be taking the test over Zoom. You have 2 options. You can go Monday the 9th or Wednesday the 11th. Keep in mind, on Monday your stock portfolios are also due. I don't like when people have to study for tests while they're doing heavy writing. That's just the way the calendar worked out. So would you rather do test 2 on Monday or Wednesday? Go to pollev.com/KentTalkin063 and tell me when you want to do that exam, because it doesn't matter to me. Take a second to vote, and we'll see which way we're going to go. This is democracy in action right here. Is there anybody who has not voted yet? My voice is cracking. I might be getting a cold or something. I'm not sure what's happening. I might even teach this class in an accent today just to see if I can get you guys going. Everybody get a chance to vote? Excellent. All right, speaking of that, don't forget, if you haven't voted yet, tomorrow is the national election. Make sure to vote if you are able. All right, guys, we're going to jump in for today. The test. Test number 2 in this class is going to be next Wednesday during scheduled class time. You can come to the room. I'll still come to the room. If anybody wants to take it in person, you can. Make sure, number 1, you're on Zoom. Make sure your cameras are on. Guys, Cameron, Kobe, and Maxwell, please turn on your cameras, guys. Make sure your cameras are also on during the exam. What's that? Okay. Before next Wednesday, we got to work that out so you can take the test remotely. All right? So before next Wednesday, if we need to get you some technical support, we will. So let's talk about that offline. All right, guys, we left off talking about management in terms of what managers do and why. Who here among you? We got to get some conversation started. It's a great snowy day out there. People who are managers sometimes can be leaders. Leaders can be managers, but managers aren't always leaders. Who can tell me what's the difference between leadership and management? What's the difference, guys? Otherwise, if we don't get some volunteers, I will randomly call on people so we get some conversations started this morning. I talk to myself a lot, but I don't feel like talking to myself today. What's the difference?
A leader is somebody who leads by example, and the management is somebody who oversees a department.
That's it.
Somebody in the department.
I know I'm not allowed to shake your hand, but I'll give you an air high five. That was good. So somebody who oversees a department, for example, is a manager. Somebody who inspires people. Somebody who makes people want to get up and make change, for example. That's a leader. We think about the people who inspire us, those are leaders. Well, we're going to go to the management side of things first because if we go by size, management is like this big, guys. It's like kind of like a basketball. Nothing wrong with basketball. Leadership is more like a volley, or I'm going to say a medicine ball, more like a beach volleyball, for example, something bigger, something like those inflatable volleyballs. So guys, in terms of what managers do, they have four main tasks they do. One is planning, and that means that you're looking ahead. What are we going to do in the future? We're going to talk about different kinds of planning. We're talking about leading. Some managers are good leaders if they're leading change, for example, that they are resolving conflict, they're communicating with people. Organizing. That means, for example, a manager is somebody who comes in and gives you a system for doing things. For example, I organized this class. I gave you chapters. I gave you modules. I gave you ways to absorb the content. So that's a management function itself. And we also have controlling, which means we're measuring performance. John, what's a way that I measure performance in this class? Grades. That's a great example. And in the real world, we do things called performance evaluations. Guys, Elena, why do they do performance evaluations in the real world? Make sure they're doing their job. Because if you get a good performance evaluation, what might you also get? You might get a raise or a promotion. So that's controlling. So again, planning, setting the objectives, making sure that we're looking toward the future, organizing, giving us the systems to do so. Leading, inspiring people to make the change, although not all managers are leaders. And then we get to controlling, which means we're measuring, we're making sure things work the way they are supposed to. If we're doing these four things really well, we get a well-run organization and we get the results that we are seeking. To be a good manager, you have to know what your company is all about. You have to know why they exist. So let's talk about that, guys. If we get into planning, there's several different types. We might be looking at today, tomorrow, and down the road. For example, if I'm looking at now, this is what we refer to as tactical planning. Tactical, by the way, Erica, that's a military term. What does tactical mean? Do you know?
I think it's like a well-prepared zone that has a lot of tools on them to do it.
Exactly, for like operations, right? So if you do tactical planning, you're making sure people have the right guns and belts and all this sort of stuff to go out and do their job. Strategic means you're looking at a bigger picture. So if we're starting at the top, we're looking at strategic planning. That means 1 to 5 years out, where do we want our organization to be? That's an example of strategic planning. Write this down. Strategic planning is 1 to 5 years. That means you're looking big picture. For some industries, 1 year might be a long time. If you're Amazon, you've got all kinds of plans, but a lot of things can happen in 1 year if you're a big company. Strategic planning means you're looking 1 to 5 years out. Then we also get into the idea of long-range planning. Again, long range is 1 to 5 years. And we look back to decide, actually, let me ask you guys. If you're a company, how do you decide what you should and shouldn't do? What do you think? I'm going to Zoom land for this one. If you have a company, how do you decide what you should and shouldn't do, guys?
You gotta set policies.
You have policies for sure. And your policies are based on what? What you come? I'm sorry? Because you were going somewhere, Maxwell. Your policies are based on what?
Like what's right and wrong, like laws and stuff.
So you have laws for sure, and you got the actual reason your company exists. For example, we're a for-profit company, we're a non-profit company. What do we make? If we're Amazon, for example, when we started out in the 90s, our main role is to sell books online. That's what Amazon's first role was. They were a big online bookseller. So we got Amazon, and all of a sudden we're saying, hey, we want to get beyond books. And we want to get into selling web space. We want to get into selling web services, all these things. That means our mission, our company mission changes. St. Francis University, our mission is to educate students. Our mission is to make people better and more educated, for example. So that mission statement drives our strategy. For example, there are things St. Francis would probably be great at doing. Our PA program. You guys, how many of you have a friend who's a major in the PA program? Everybody knows a PA. That major landed here in the 1980s. We were one of the first programs in the state to have a PA program, one of the first universities in the state to have a PA program. We decided it fit with our mission because it was helping people, even though we were not primarily a medical school. Back in those days, we were primarily business and liberal arts. We still have those programs. We're part of that program in the School of Business, but we amended our mission. We changed where we were going, and our mission drove our strategy. So our mission grew a little bit, and our strategy had to go with it. Who out here has ever heard of a SWOT analysis? A SWOT of fly. What's a SWOT analysis? Do you know? It's okay. It's Monday morning. I'm going to help you. It's strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. In fact, you'll do this when you get into your management class, but we're going to do a quick one together just because it's Monday morning. We need to talk. All right, you guys here, we got this group. You three are strengths. Then we've got weaknesses of everybody in Zoom. These last two rows are opportunities, and up here is threats. If you had to say, tell me one thing, strength group, what's one strength of St. Francis University? One thing we're good at. Well, some business professors. I agree with that, but what's something else we're good at? Wonder Twins.
You can say that we're isolated.
That could be a strength for sure. So isolation could be a strength. All right, our weakness group back in the back, I think was our weakness group is our Zoom group, I believe. Zoom group, what's a weakness of St. Francis University? Somebody's got something on this. What are we not good at? I promise I'm not grading you on this, guys. We're trying to integrate and get some conversation. What's something we're not good at? Managing students, okay. And we have group number 3, which is opportunities. What do you think? Do we have an opportunity anywhere? What might be an example of an opportunity? Group 3. The last 2 rows here. What might be something we don't currently do that we could do? A major we don't have, a sports program we don't have. What's something we don't have that maybe we could? Or a demographic we don't appeal to that we could? You guys see a lot of adult learners sitting next to you. Mostly it's people your age, right? I'm helping you out. That would be an opportunity, might be appealing to more adult learners. And our last group over here, what's a threat to our existence?
Bigger schools.
Bigger schools. Because they have more resources than we do. What we just did there, guys, in a little nutshell, is how strategic planning works. You basically look at what you're good at, what you want to be good at, and think about how you get there. The middle part of getting there is what management is all about. Then we get into tactical. Okay, so we got strategic, guys. Think big. If you're thinking strategy, you're thinking big. For example, if you got an NFL head coach who's saying we need to play more defense, we need to up our defensive game, that's strategic. Tactical planning takes it down to the line coaches who are going to implement it. For example, tactical plans are less than 1 year. So if the strategic plan is, and we are Walmart, that we want to start selling more stuff for the Christmas season before Christmas, the strategic plan is how do we get Christmas to happen more quickly. The tactical part of it is how do we get stuff into stores? How do we get displays up? How do we get people more engaged and wanting to buy earlier? So tactical plans, write this down, are less than 1 year. And they have objectives in that support the strategy. So if the strategy is more early holiday sales, I had to think about how to say that for a second. My brain stops sometimes too. The tactical plans might be how we're advertising, how we're marketing, how we're putting up displays in stores how we're getting people to buy on our website. So that's an example of a tactical plan. So strategic and tactical. And then we get to operational. Guys, things that happen every day are operational. How many of you, by show of hands in the room here, have seen a custodian at some point today? Yeah, they clean the buildings every day. People at tour cook food every day. Teachers show up at class and teach every day. That's an operational role. That doesn't need a lot of supervision because you sort of know what you're doing. Your objectives every day are narrowly focused. So we know, for example, every day at 9 a.m., Tonkin's going to show up and he's going to talk about something involving management or business today. Every day, custodian X is going to show up at Giles Hall to clean the floors. That's operational. It means you check in and make sure people are doing it, but the objectives of what we're accomplishing are narrow and they're very tangible. Then we get into something called contingency planning. For example, it's about having a backup plan. Why has that been so important this year? Can anybody tell me? As I stare at a video conferencing unit in my classroom. This is an example of a backup plan. Video conferencing, pulling students in via Zoom. This is contingency planning. It's about having backups. It's about knowing what could go wrong and being prepared for it. Guys, how will this change? I want you to think about this for a second. I know it's Monday, and I know you're tired, and I know it's snowing out there, and I know we have a lot of folks coming in from other places today, but I want to ask you this question, guys. How will this year change the way that schools and businesses operate for the next decade? What will be different? Yes, ma'am.
There'll be more opportunities to work from home because people know how to use these resources now.
So more opportunities to work from home because everybody's become a telecommuter now. We all know how to do it. That's a great answer. Are there other things that will change permanently? What else might be permanent? Nick, go for it. Your mic is muted. There we go. You know what? It's funny. We were just talking about that. I think you're absolutely correct. The next time we say, hey, it's time for a snow day, everybody's going to be, just go on Zoom. We'll see you there. You know who else doesn't get the snow day then? I don't get a snow day either. So I feel your pain. The struggle is real. So we changed the paradigm. What else has changed permanently, guys?
In-person interviews.
In-person interviews. By the way, have you ever done a virtual interview?
Yes.
They're tough, aren't they?
Yeah.
What's different about doing a virtual interview?
Just sitting in front of a screen, you get bored.
Yeah, it's very flat. So we're going to change the way we do recruiting. We're going to change the way we do so many things, guys. And here's one more I'll put out for you guys, and that is safety. The idea that people are thinking about things like communicable diseases in ways we never thought of before. That's why contingency planning is so important. Again, guys, just to put this in a chart, I know it's very difficult for you guys out there to see unless you've got it downloaded. If you're looking 1 to 5 years out, you're doing strategic planning. You're looking at the big picture. You got the big folks involved, the CEOs, the big leaders in the company. And the purpose of this stuff is basically to live the mission of the company or to set priorities for the company. If we get into tactical, it means how are we putting those kind of goals into operation? Operation means we're daily operating, that we're making sure things get done that go on up the chain. So big picture strategic, middle picture tactical, small picture operational. Contingency is when the blank hits the fan and you have to improvise. Sometimes, guys, we got to improvise. How many musicians we got in here? I know we got one musician, we got two musicians. What do you play, by the way? What's your instrument? Piano. What's your main instrument? The flute. Do I have any musicians out here in Zoomland, by the way? I play the drums, I play the bass, I slap at the bass, and I play a little guitar, about this much.
A little piano.
A little piano, very nice. Guys, have you guys ever heard the expression? If you do it once, it's a mistake. If you do it twice, it's jazz. Has anybody ever heard that expression? Erica, what does that expression mean?
I just heard you say it before. Yeah.
Wow. See, I'm very quotable, right? But what it comes down to, guys, if you are playing, this is exactly how it works, guys. If I'm playing a live jam session, I do a lot of improvisational stuff. I'm a fingerstyle bass player. I do a little bit of slap. I love playing bass. It's pretty awesome. Occasionally, I'll be going for a solo, and I'll hit that one note. It's like, ooh, that note didn't sound good. But if I do it again, people will think I meant to do it. I wasn't playing a bad note. I was playing dissonance. And what that means is sometimes you got to make it up as you go along and fake it till you make it. Here's your other rule for living, guys. I really mean this. This is your little life lesson for Monday, whatever today is, the 2nd of November. Today's All Souls Day, isn't it? How about that? Guys, your life lesson for Monday the 2nd is this. If you ever end up having to walk into a room you're uncomfortable in, act like you're supposed to be there. Most people will not question it. Carry yourself with confidence. Go in. I used to have to do that all the time in my previous careers in technology. But let's keep going here, guys. Actually, I'm going to take a sip of my coffee while we get ready to have a discussion about mission statements. Will somebody who has a laptop or cell phone or other computer device, will somebody look up for me, just Google's mission statement? Will somebody Google that for me? We got lots of devices in here. Did somebody find it? What is Google's mission statement? Anybody find it? Elena, what does it say?
It says our company mission is to organize the world's information and make it universally accessible and useful. That's why search makes it easy to discover a broad range of information from a wide variety of sources. Some information is purely factual, like the height of the Eiffel Tower. For more complex topics, search is a tool to explore many angles, so you can form your own understanding of the world.
That's pretty direct, isn't it? If you look at Google's mission statement, it says, this is what we do and why. This is what we value. You can look up any company. Wow, Santa's on the roof already? Wow, you guys heard that too, right? I think it's aliens. They're trying to communicate. I'm trying to come up with a standard language. Sorry about that, guys. For any of you who are not in the room, there's this loud pounding noise that's coming from the ceiling, and I think it's aliens, and I was trying to make contact with them. But it didn't work out. They're not listening to me. What they said is, we're done with you. What's that?
So it might be Bigfoot.
It could be Bigfoot. It's the right day for it. It's the right day for it. But let's get back focused, guys. What's that? It could be Batman, but he usually operates at night. By the way, you never see me and Batman in the same place at the same time, but I'm not saying I'm Batman. All right, guys, in terms of the parts of a mission statement, your purpose says why you exist. Your value says what's important to you, what your company believes. And you might have action in there as well. What do we do? So companies who set mission statements is basically a statement of what the company believes, what we're all about. If you don't know what your company is all about, how can you possibly make it to any kind of goal? We think of companies who have failed. Oftentimes, they are companies that lost track of the actual reason why they existed in the first place. Companies that are very successful take one or two things and do them really well. Does Chick-fil-A make hamburgers? Why do they not make hamburgers?
They specialize in chicken.
That's in the name. They're Chick-fil-A, man. And conversely, does Pizza Hut make chicken sandwiches? No, because they're Pizza Hut. It's what they do. It's their mission. So anytime a company forgets who they are, they can run the risk of really going off the rails. But we're going back into the management functions here, guys. So we talk about planning. Now we're talking about organizing. Organizing means you're figuring out how things are getting done. Remember, guys, I had a very simple definition of management. Anybody remember what it was? Getting things done through other people. Guys, that is so distracting. I wonder if they have a better time of the day they could do this. My goodness. All right, guys, in terms of management, management is getting things done through other people. Getting things done through other people. Write that down. Management is getting things done through other people. If you remember that, you'll always have a working definition of management. Guys, it could be, for example, we're splitting up the workload. For example, in this class, we split you into groups to be able to do a large task. We could put people into departments with departmentalization. So the first is called division of labor, dividing up tasks. Grouping jobs and employees is departmentalization. And giving people authority. That means we're delegating. Being a good delegator is a hard thing to do, but it's an absolutely essential part of management because one person simply can't get it all done. So how do we break this stuff up, guys? We have people up at the top, this pyramid up here, this wonderful pyramid, the top management, the C-suite people. Why do we call them C-suite, by the way? Anybody know the answer to that question? What does the C in CEO stand for? Anybody know? It's chief.
Certified.
Certified's a good guess. It is, but it's chief. So somebody who's a CEO is a chief executive officer. Somebody who's a CIO is a chief information officer. A COO is a chief operational officer. Those are the people at the top who, guess what? They're setting strategy. They're working on mission statements. They're saying, where is the company going to go? And then you got people in middle management. If this is an Oreo, middle managers are the cream in the middle of the Oreo. And I say that with a lot of affection because I was a middle manager for a big part of my career. I'm going to talk to you about why this is so important, why these people are the hidden weapons of organizations. And then you got supervisors, the people who are at the front lines doing operations, maybe even tactical stuff. Again, higher up you on the pyramid. The other part of it, guys, the reason that pyramid gets skinnier up at the top, there's fewer people on the C-suite than there are on the floor. If you got more chiefs than you have people at the bottom, you got a problem. You got an inverted pyramid organization. Middle managers, I think, are the secret weapons in any company. Why do I think that? Anybody have a guess why I have such a soft spot for middle managers other than the fact they used to be one? Why do I think they're so important? I'm going to give you an example. We got you guys over here, and you're all, including Zoom folks, you guys are all very highly skilled technology employees. You guys are the people who write all the code, who make our iPhones work, who do all this amazing stuff. You guys, collectively, look at you guys, you're the C-suite. You're the high rollers in the organization here. Do you understand how these guys talk about what they do all the time? No. And you guys ever hear of writing code all the time? Do you always understand why they're doing what they're doing strategy-wise? No, you don't. The person who can walk this line and make you guys understand each other, work as a translator, that person is a middle manager. They can speak executive, they can know what executives care about, and they can speak code and technical as well. For example, somebody who's coming up with code for an iPhone 12 or a 13 or whatever the next model ends up being, cares very much about writing good code and making a good product. If you guys are in the C-suite, what is your primary concern? You're a for-profit company. What is your primary objective in a for-profit company? Making profit. So you're not going to care about the innovations these guys are making if it does not translate into profit for you guys. That's where the middle manager keeps people happy and translates between those two worlds. That's why middle managers are so important. I would write it down that Tonkin referred to middle managers as secret weapons. We're moving fast here today, guys. In fact, because it's 9:30, and because we're moving at a pretty good pace, and you guys have already done a strategic analysis of St. Francis University, I'm pausing today for my first question or comment of the day. What would you like to say or ask? Because otherwise I'll have a question for you guys. Anybody have a question? Yes, sir.
Are you excited for the election?
I'm excited for it to be over. I have friends who are all over the political spectrum, and I'm tired of them yelling at each other and being angry at each other. And I know we got big problems in this country to fix. We certainly do. I want it to be over with so whatever happens, we can start building the country back and getting people to talk to each other again. That's my thought. What are your thoughts?
Well, I'm very excited for it. I want to see who's going to win tomorrow.
We may not know for weeks, too, depending on the mail-in ballots. Like, I think tomorrow is going to be the start of a very long process, I believe.
But a lot of people did early voting, so.
A lot of people did. You know, here's something funny. Tomorrow I have to vote first thing in the morning. My precinct is right down the road from my house. And I got a dentist appointment right after that. And I'm debating which one I'm looking forward to more. So maybe the dentist appointment. I like the dentist. They're okay. I'm not saying I get excited for dentist appointments. But I have a question for you guys, actually. Because we're getting down to the last, get this, guys, it's the last 3 weeks of class. And we know that there's things we have to do, for example. We got to do our next exam. We know we got to do a final exam, and you guys know you have your stock portfolios. Here's a question for all of you guys, because I've made suggestions all semester. I'd like to hear from you guys. What is something you guys think would make class fun? If we took a class and did something fun before the end of the semester, what's something you guys would enjoy? And it literally could be anything, guys. We could play board games. We could watch a movie. What would be something that would be fun for you guys? It would get you moving at 9 in the morning. What are your thoughts, guys? Well, think on that question. Go ahead, Derek.
Watch a business movie.
So you'd be up for that? Something like The Big Shorts or something like that? So we got a business movie might be a good way to go. Anything else you guys want to suggest? Because I'm going to come back to that question, guys. I would like you to think about that because Wednesday at the beginning of class, roll call, I'm going to ask you guys what your thoughts are. What's something fun you'd like to do before the end of the semester? Okay, but let's jump back in, guys. We have a few more slides to get through for today to give you your money's worth today. So, guys, we talked about the differences between management and leadership. Managers are good at making things happen sometimes, but managers aren't always inspiring people. Managers aren't always people who make you want to go the extra mile. Managers are good at delegating tasks. Leaders get people on board. For example, even though Steve Jobs was somebody a lot of people didn't like, because he was a pretty hardcore guy, he worked crazy hours and expected the same of his people, he did inspire greatness in his folks. He inspired the spirit of excellence. And here's the thought too, guys. You don't have to be a CEO to be a leader. You don't have to be in the C-suite. You can be somebody in any part of the organization. If you inspire other people to follow you or to lead by example, or to follow your example, I should say, you can be a leader. You can be in an entry-level position. And if people are following you because you care about what you do, people will follow you, guys. Managers are not always people who are destined to be great leaders. How many of you, by show of hands, have ever had a job? Have you ever worked for somebody who didn't seem like they knew what they were doing? What was it like?
I'm going through it still now, so.
Still going through it. And somebody like, and not asking you to name names, but what are some of the things this person does that makes him such a terrible manager?
Not really in a good mood most of the time.
So they're grouchy.
Yeah, they don't do all the stuff that they should be doing.
So they're passing everything off to everybody else, not doing anything.
Yeah.
Do you think they might hate their lives too?
They might.
Yeah, people are unhappy, by the way. People who hate their lives tend to be negative toward other people. And a lot of times, people who end up in management maybe are folks who shouldn't have been in management in the first place. Managers can be good at managing and terrible at inspiring. For example, somebody who works on a line, if you're making widgets, for example, if you're making car parts, they can tell you if you made enough car parts. That doesn't mean necessarily that they have stirred you on to excellence. But we're also going to talk about the way in which people lead, how they manage, lead, or inspire. Because everybody does a different style of leadership. There's lots of different types of power that people have in an organization. Guys, and for those of you out in Zoom land, if you got the slides, follow along with this one too, because these are very important concepts for management. These are the types of power that people who work in management tend to have. True leaders have these too. Legitimate power means you have power by virtue of your title. If you're the president of an organization, even if you're a lousy human being and a terrible leader, you have power based on your title. If you have reward power, it means you have the ability to give people raises, you have the ability to control their leave schedule when they get time off, you have the power to give them things. Coercive power is tied in sometimes with lead or with reward power, but coercive means what's the extent to which somebody can punish you? What's the extent in which they can make your life miserable? Expert power means what does somebody actually know? For example, these guys over here in the technical organization, they're all really skilled technical people, have the ability to write code, or they have the ability, for example, if they're a carpenter, to build really well. They're experts. This is the big one though, guys. Referent power means the people respect this person. Of these kinds of power, we've all been there. In fact, Tracy, what you mentioned, you had somebody who has legitimate power because they are a manager, but I didn't hear a lot of referent power. I don't feel a lot of respect for that person. Am I correct? Sort of fair to Midland? Yeah, so it's different with everybody. Somebody, for example, who could have a lot of respect. You got somebody who's your fellow line worker who inspires people but does not have legitimate power because they lack a title, they lack power. If you have the option of rewarding somebody to get them to do something or punishing them because they didn't do it, what works better in the long run? Rewards or punishment? It's the old push versus pull argument. So let's say, for example, and see these folks over here, you guys in Zoom, by the way, I'm waving at you guys here. I'm going to say that right now that you guys have reward power. So you can pull me toward you by giving me incentives to want to come. These folks behind me who are, actually, John, will you stand up for 1 sec just because you happen to be right here? I think you're throwing something at me. Yeah, throw something at me.
Awesome, very good.
Yeah, so he keeps beating me down. That's the first time I've ever asked a student to hit me in class, too, but thank you for that, John. If he keeps hitting me, and he's throwing things at me and beating me down, sooner or later, I'm only going to perform well enough to be able to not get hit. That was a good throw, by the way, John. Well done. Thank you for that. So, generally speaking, thank you. Rewards work better than coercive power in the long run because if you lead by punishing people, if you lead only by telling people what they've done wrong, if you don't tell them what they're doing right, all they'll ever do is perform just well enough to get by. You will never get excellence out of those folks. And that's why reward power is more impressive, in my opinion, than coercive power, although some people work well under negative motivation as well. So guys, which kind do you respect the most? In your current working environments or previous working environments, which would be the most impressive to you? What would motivate you the best? Somebody who has legitimate power, somebody who has a title, somebody who could give you rewards, somebody who could threaten you, somebody who's really good at their job, or somebody who you respect. Which one of those kinds of power do you respect the most? That is really super annoying. Hey, Derek, which kind do you respect the most? If you have somebody who's legitimate, somebody who's got a title, somebody who can give you rewards, somebody who can punish you, somebody who is really good, they're an expert, or somebody you respect, which kind of power motivates you the most? So you've got legitimate power, which means somebody has a title. You've got reward power, which means they can pay you more, they can give you more days off. You've got coercive power, which means they can punish you. You got expert power, which means this person is a real genius or an expert at what they do. Or they have referent power, which means you like them and respect them. Which one of those would, I'm sorry? Reward, yeah, they give you a better paycheck, they give you more time off. And that's completely legit. Does anybody have a different feeling about that? Anybody have a different kind of power they would respect? What do you think? Connor, what kind of power do you respect the most?
Either expert power or referent power. I can't pick which one.
That's fair. So either expert or referent, for example. Anybody feel differently? What kind of power do you respect? Me personally, I like referent power the most. Somebody I like and respect. Somebody who inspires good things in me, for example. Well, guys, this also can lend itself to styles of management. So we have these different kinds of power, but we also have different styles of management as well. Autocratic means that you basically are making all the decisions as the manager and you're not giving anybody else a say. Participatory or participative style means you're more democratic. You're asking people what they think and you're making a decision. And then you've got laissez-faire, which is also free reign, which means I'm not making any decisions. You guys are making all the decisions. So we've got, just like the story of the three bears, we've got too hot for most people, which is autocratic. We've got too cold, which is laissez-faire, free reign. And then you got just right, in terms of the porridge, right in the middle, which is participative, I should say. This just means that how much authority is held by management, how much is held by people in the group. What's the problem with free reign? Well, the problem with free reign is sometimes people need a little direction. I'm going to give you a story about this. We're going to do one more slide. And after we get that slide, we get one more good question. We'll let you go for the day because it's cold as hell out there. Guys, there was a company you may have heard of Netflix. Netflix decided they were eliminating their time off policy. Check this out. They basically said, look guys, take as much time off as you want so long as the job gets done. What happened, do you think?
Not taking time off, they're not getting a job done.
Say that one more
A
time.
lot of people taking off and not getting a job done.
That's what I would have thought too. Everybody just says, well, to heck with this, we're going to take the day off and not do anything. The exact opposite actually happened. Nobody took any time off. Why did that happen that way? Because I would have thought what you thought too. What it came down to is there was no guidance. People didn't know, well, if you tell me I can take as much time off as I want, what's an appropriate amount of time off? The leadership style was too free rein. It was too laissez-faire. If you get somebody who's too autocratic, somebody who's making too many of the decisions, we don't have a say-so. If you get in the middle, you've got more say-so and more collaboration, because guess what? The people who work for you might know a thing or two about how the company is run, and we get into better and more empowered employees. Let me give you an example of empowerment. I know, guys, we've known each other, gosh, like 12 weeks now. And the entire time that you've been here, how many times has my boss come in and told me how to teach the class? Not once. How many times have I come in and said that I have to do something a certain way because the university says so? Once or twice. There are things that they have control over me. But they absolutely trust and empower that I'm going to do the job as I see fit. Ultimately, you guys will make that decision. You do my evaluation. You'll tell me if I did a good job or not. But I'm an empowered employee. And people who are empowered tend to take more control and more buy-in more to their organizations. And that's where we're going to leave off. If one of you can ask me a quality question before we call this a day. Who amongst you can ask one quality question before we call this a day? I know somebody out there has got a thought. Elena.
Does the stock project only have points?
The stock project, guys, listen up. The question is the stock project only 10 points? I grade on a 10-point scale, but it's actually worth a percentage of your grade. I have to go back to the syllabus. I think it was 10 or 20%. And so what that means, if you get a 100% on it, that's a full percentage of your grade. And here's what usually happens, honestly. We've had folks, for example, who maybe didn't do well on the first test, and this stock project usually bumps their grade up. That's an excellent question. Guys, be safe out there. If you're driving, be careful. Have a wonderful day.